It's really all about the nervous system. You've got broadly two sides of the nervous system which come into play when we're speaking. You've got fight or flight, and you've got rest and digest. If I stand up in front of an audience and I'm in fight or flight, everything's going to go wrong.
Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the Success Mindset YouTube channel. Today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Caroline Goyder. Hi Caroline, how are you?
Hello Damien, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And how have you been over lockdown?
Yeah, just rolling with the punches like we all have. Just, going day by day, staying centered as much as possible.
That's exactly it. And just to give a bit of background about Caroline, she's a world-renowned author and voice coach. Her best-selling 2014 book, Gravitas, is absolutely fantastic. And it gives some really, really tangible tools. The thing I really love about your books, Caroline, is the fact that you don't just talk about what people should do. You actually put them into effect. You actually give tools all the way through your books that people can do. And obviously your new book, Find Your Voice, is out, and Caroline's TED Talk has just hit over the 8 million views mark, which is quite something.
Mental. Yeah.
And how does it feel for you to have done a talk, which in itself was an amazing talk, but how does it feel for you to have done something that resonated with so many people?
If I had walked out on stage that day at Brixton and thought 8+ million people will have watched this by 2020, I think I would have run away. But it's the power of this world we live in, where you can do a talk and it can just go viral. It's amazing and wonderful and terrifying all at once.
No, it's really something, and the talk is absolutely fantastic, and we'll put a link below this video on YouTube so people can access that as well. But it is an absolutely fantastic talk. But like I say, thank you so much for joining the channel today. It's really great to have you with us. And the first thing we're going to be talking about today, because you're joining us on a number of these videos, the first thing is really, how do people gain confidence if they need to speak in front of others, either at a large talk like you did with TED, or, for example, a really high-powered presentation, or presentation they absolutely need to nail. And a lot of people will fall apart. And I think it's, a lot of it is the inner game, it's the mindset around it. But I just wondered if you could say, why do so many people struggle with talking in front of large groups of people?
It's a massive issue for lots of people. And I can think of, if I had £1 for every client who said to me, I prep my presentation and then I walk out in front of my audience and it all goes wrong, I would honestly be moving to the Bahamas. Because it's such a human fear, and it's the fear of judgment, and it's the fear of visibility. And as a species, being rejected by our tribe is life-threatening, right? That was true for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And so our system walks out on stage or steps out on a Zoom meeting and hits that fear of visibility and rejection and judgment. And we go into fight or flight, and our amygdala gets hijacked and our breathing rises and it all goes wrong. So not only have we got visibility, we're also out of control. And that's a pretty toxic combination. And it's not a surprise that people fear it worse than death, don't they? I mean, that's the stats. But the thing I always say to people when they tell me that is, it's like learning to drive. You would never do your driving test after one lesson because it would be hideous. You do your driving test after practicing and practicing and practicing, so that when you get under the pressure, you can ace it. And for anybody wanting to speak, you just have to practice. Confidence is a muscle. It's not a birthright. And all that people need is calm, focused, supportive practice. And then you can ace it. Anybody can be a good speaker. I truly believe that.
And I've obviously read Gravitas. I've listened to it on Audible, and I'm currently halfway through Find Your Voice, which is your new book. and as you know, better than anyone. And I know that you speak in your books around filling your diaphragm and really getting grounded before you speak. And if you could just explain a little bit more about that and why it's so important to maybe get grounded, especially if you are feeling the pressure and you need to go out there and perform.
So it's really all about the nervous system. You've got broadly two sides of the nervous system which come into play when we're speaking. You've got fight or flight, and you've got rest and digest. If I stand up in front of an audience and I'm in fight or flight, everything's going to go wrong. Well, the coda is, if I'm not handling the adrenaline and the cortisol well, everything's going to go wrong. What a good performer will tell you is that when your system is centered, when your body feels safe, when you're grounded, when your breath is low and wide, when you're taking your time, you'll hit the burst of adrenaline that comes when you start, and it will help you fly. It becomes a tailwind. If you go into it feeling nervous and feeling pressured, not ready, then it becomes a headwind and it will negatively impact your performance. Now, any performer, tennis player, orchestra conductor, saxophonist will tell you, if you want to ace performance, learn how to breathe diaphragmatically, because the diaphragm is a dome-shaped sheet of muscle that sits. You can take a thumb and just feel where your ribs separate. You get the floating ribs, and just in there is your diaphragm, and it cuts you in half. It's like a mushroom or a jellyfish that cuts you in half. As you breathe in, the diaphragm descends, and as you breathe out, it rises. When we breathe diaphragmatically, the whole system gets the message that we're safe. Because if I've got to punch someone or run away, I'm going to chest breathe and I'm going to lock off my diaphragm so that I can power up. And so when I say to my system, you can breathe low and wide, it says, oh, I'm safe. I can digest, I can connect. And then suddenly we show up as our best selves. We have a relaxed conversation. We're not thrown. And that's the place I would like everybody to know how to speak from, because then it's fun. Yeah. But the thing is, you have to practice to get there. It doesn't come by magic.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of a few months ago when I was interviewing someone for a position, and obviously they were not overly comfortable in interviewing. I guess they were very, very nervous, and they were speaking very, very quickly in the interview, and also it was very, very sort of from the chest and nasally, like you were just saying. And I guess that, like you say, if you breathe slow and wide and you start to slow things down in your body, that is going to really give you a sense of calm and stability, isn't it? I guess it's as much about your physicality as it is about the technical aspect of being able to project and breathe, isn't it?
So much so. I mean, I'm all about homeostasis, and the system works as one, right? So if I breathe deeply, that's going to make me feel calmer, my brain's going to function better, and my voice is going to work better. And breath is the best way to kind of get under the bonnet of our nervous system. Because if we slow our breathing down, that affects our heart rate, it affects our thinking, it affects our digestion. It's just the one thing that will give you control back, which is why everybody should learn to breathe, but also they should learn to breathe and speak. Because voice is out breath, and we often don't make that connection. We meditate, but then we don't realize that what we're doing as meditators can also inform us when we pause as a speaker. And that's the missing link.